Thank you for listening to Pow Block Podcast, the flagship Nintendo podcast of Boss Rush Network. Do you need even more gaming and entertainment in your life? Head over to bossrush.net where you can find news, reviews, creators, podcasts, and more focused around the content you enjoy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nintendo Pow Block here on Boss Rush Network. I'm your host, the enlightened, excited Eddie V. Joining me is the indie insider himself, Mr. Dan Murphy. And the gallivanting gallatron himself, Mr. Jacob Taylor.
Hey, what's going on, Ed? Dan, how are y'all doing?
It is going great. Everybody, this is our last live show for 2021. It's episode 275. First of all, I want to thank all the people who have watched, who have listened to us on the podcast, and who has just hit us up on Twitter and Discord and interact with us. We truly thank you guys for joining us. And those who are watching the live stream now, thank you again for joining us on these Monday nights. I really am appreciative. The team is appreciative. And just to give you guys a heads up, when we get back next year, January 3rd, we are going to be doing our Game of the Year for Nintendo Pow Block. Who will come out? We don't know yet. There's a lot of games to choose from. You guys will just have to wait 2 weeks. It's only going to be 2 weeks into the new year, before the new year happens, and we will have you will have your answer for the Nintendo Pow Block Game of the Year. But there's also more, everybody. If you go to bossrush.net, you can check out our merch store, because Nintendo Pow Block actually have merchandise, hoodies, shirts, caps. You can all get it that says Pow Block on them. And you guys really should check it out. It'll be a good Christmas gift, or gift to yourself. So do go check out bossrush.net and check out the merch section on the website. With that being said, how was everybody's weekend? Jacob, how was your weekend?
My weekend was good, man. I played an exciting new game that I reached out to an indie publisher and talked with them and started an exciting new game that I'll talk about in playing with power. And I started learning Japanese, and I didn't bring it with me. I'm taking it very seriously. I'm like practicing writing out the syllables, because they don't necessarily use letters the way we use letters. Their characters are syllables. And so, like, you know how like in kindergarten you would write like A like 35 times to practice it and get it. And I've been writing that down and then also using the app, and me and Becca are doing that together. So that's been a lot of fun. I can successfully navigate my way somewhat around a Japanese keyboard for like a phone. So I can say like good morning and just very simple stuff, 1 through, I think they've only taught us 1 through 7 so far, but we're taking it slow and trying to really soak it all in to try and learn Japanese. This is day 2. We started it on the weekend. Yeah. So my notebook is like, I'm filling in up several pages now. So that's been really cool. I'm excited for that. And I hope to buy like a game in Japanese and play it and be able to like fully understand it.
And so the installers came yesterday. They showed up in like a whirlwind. They like drilled holes in our roof and in our walls and everything. And then they're like, you know what? The plan's not even going to work for this. So we're going to give you a new plan. And they just wrapped up and left. So now we're just sitting here with like holes in our walls and everything. And we're like, this didn't work out great, but at the end it will work out.
So you're switching to solar energy?
Yeah, we're trying to. We think we can get enough sunlight for it.
That's awesome. Well, for me, had my Christmas rehearsal this week. The 19th on that Sunday is the actual Christmas performance. And so a presentation, I should say. And so I actually had to sing alto for the choir, and I was just like, I feel like I'm losing my voice, so I got to literally take it easy this whole weekend. I've been trying to say, you know what, I'm not gonna try to sing or anything, and all weekend I've been singing. I'm like, oh dang it. So this week I gotta kind of hold it down, but I have started Halo Infinite. Um, and it's so buttery smooth on Series X. The delays really helped 343 Studios. I'm definitely enjoying this game. Loving doing the side quests and everything. I got an achievement today that I put on my Twitter. It's called Please Shut Up. And it's when you destroy a propaganda tower that these grunts are telling like the stupid story, and you destroy it and you just get like this achievement for destroying one. I'm just like, oh, that's very funny. But I am enjoying that. And then see some amazing endings. One clappy hand, Greek, the Gus. Like I've seen some indie games that's also they're gonna be on Switch, but they come to Xbox. And I'm like, you know what? I need to put some indie games on my Xbox, on my Series X, because I feel like sometimes when Xbox get indie games, I need to support it on that platform. I'm not worried so much about PlayStation and uh, Switch, but I was just like, man, I need to support indies on this platform because I want more indies to come to Series X, and they just always get ignored and everything. So, but that was kind of my weekend and everything, and also getting ready to write year-end review for Nintendo itself, so you guys be able to check that out on Boss Push Games in the coming weeks. Just a whole overview of what things Nintendo released, like the hardware, the games, the events, the wackiness that they had. It's going to be a really good one that you guys should be able to watch. We be able to read and everything. But with that, everybody, we're going to get into Snacktendo. Dan, what have you been snacking on?
I've probably talked about this a few times, but we make our own ramen at home, and we had that for dinner tonight. So it was just like A+ steak ramen, good stuff.
The moment people mention ramen, I just pass out because I love ramen so much. That's awesome. Did you add any like sides to it, like
No, we just go
vegetables?
straight ramen. Eat the ramen, whatever's in it. Do like bean sprouts, the ramen noodles, you know, green onions, steak,
Ooh,
hard boiled egg, all the good stuff.
nice. What about you, Jacob? What you been snacking on?
Okay, so I have been waiting to come back on the show because I had an experience that I wanted to talk about for Snacktendo. So, as a lot of people that follow me know, I drink G Fuel. I'm one of the very many people that drink G Fuel. Hashtag not sponsored. Hashtag please sponsor me, G Fuel. Um, Listen, the wizards at Gamma Labs who make G Fuel blew my mind a couple weeks ago because they released a new flavor in a tub that's called Raspberry Pi. And
Ooh,
if you haven't had G Fuel before, basically it's always like except for one which was very much like an April Fool's Day joke flavor, which was chili dogs from Sonic. Okay, like not from Sonic the restaurant, based off of Sonic the Hedgehog because he loves chili dogs. That was like a very obvious like joke flavor. Everyone that like tried it said it was awful. All the other flavors are like candy themed or like fruit themed, right? So like something that's very simple to wrap your brain around when you drink a drink. It's there's tons of fruit and candy flavored drinks.
Mhm.
It's a common flavor in drink form. Apple pie, or no, I'm sorry, raspberry pie. So I got it, and I expected it to just be like, oh, that's just like a cute name because they always have cute names for their tubs. So it's just gonna be raspberry. I take a sip of this, and this is at like 6 o'clock in the morning. No, it's actually at 5 o'clock in the morning because the first time I drank it, I'm like getting up to go work an overtime shift at my work, and I get the raspberry right away, right? I'm like, okay, cool, it tastes great, and then a buttery flavor comes in after it. And then kind of like a warm, sugary flavor comes in after it. And it's an entire freaking raspberry pie. Like I'm sitting there and I'm doing that thing where like when you sip a good wine, you're like you like kind of smack your lips after it just to kind of like bring out the flavors. I'm doing that because I'm freaking out because it's like my brain can't comprehend it. I just drank a raspberry pie, and it tasted like a raspberry pie, and it so much to the point where I was like pouring cups out for people at work, being like, "Taste this, taste this, taste this," because they were like, I was like, "You will not believe what you what you have," and it's so crazy to think that like it wasn't just raspberry. It wasn't just a fruity flavored drink. It was an actual raspberry pie in liquid form. And I got like all the parts of it, like the crust and the, like I said, the butter on the crust and like the actual raspberry filling and like a little bit of cinnamon thrown in there. Like, oh dude, it was insane. I've been like obsessed with wanting to talk about it, but saving it until I came back on Pow Block.
Love that.
That was quite the story.
No, dude, yeah, it blew my mind. It blew my mind.
When you said the buttery taste, I'm like, oh, that must be the crust.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. It was
like,
it's crazy, man. It's really like it's hard to explain, and I don't think you actually get the full experience unless you try it for yourself.
That sounds good.
But what about you, Ed? What's your snack window?
Well, for me, did a Big Mac meal at McDonald's. I haven't had a Big Mac. I haven't had McDonald's in about weeks, so I was just like, give me a Big Mac, and it was just so
had
good.
it in years.
So, but I ordered Domino's and won a free cheese pan made pizza. Like they just gave it to me for free with my meal, and I was just like, "Oh, this is good." I'm like, "Yeah, didn't realize that I ate like almost half of the pizza within like 5 minutes because I was hungry. I was just like, "Wow!" But I went to our grocery store that's like kind of like 10 minutes from me, and Crush the Pop. They have a 2-liter sparkling fruit punch. And I was just like, oh, I need to try this. Talk about the Pow Block. So I grabbed it, came home, poured it in got me a cup, drunk some. It tastes like fruit punch knee high. And I, just like you, Jacob, how you just amazed. I had to put the cup down for a minute, sit back, and think over my life on how good it was. Because I love fruit punch knee high. And for people who don't know, knee high was like this big kind of drink back in the 80s. It's still around, but it's kind of like you find more of it in the South, like in Mississippi, Nashville, like places like that. Man, I don't know how Crush did it, but I was drinking it. Like I had to go back to the store and get another 2-liter. It's so good. And I think it's only for the holidays, but it's like it's sweet, but it has that sometimes, like sparkling water, depending on who you get it, it has like that acid pop flavor. Some people say you might not be able to tell the difference, but I was able to tell the difference where the Crush is kind of flat, but the sparkling made the flavor of the fruit punch really come out. So it was just like, oh, this is so good. And it's nice and sweet. It's not too syrupy. It doesn't have a syrupy taste, but it was just like, I had to sit back and think about it. I'm just like, this is so good. So top tier. It's top tier. The Crush Sparkling Fruit Punch. You guys should go get it. Um, I haven't had any Christmas cookies or anything, and like I don't know what happened to the Christmas cookies. Like I
Dude,
thought there would be some bacon Christmas cookies this year, and I haven't found none. I didn't get none.
all Christmas spirit has been broken this year.
So, but everybody, that has been our final Snack Tendo of the year. We're gonna get into Game Fact events, and Jacob, you have the last Game Fact events this year, so let us know what is it.
Yeah, I do. So this one's going to be a really quick one. It's kind of just an interesting little tidbit about like circuit boards and sometimes what engineers do with circuit boards and way they have like little bits of fun. And this happens in a lot, but something that Nintendo does and something that I thought was kind of a cool way to like ring in the end of the new year and say thank you to all of the people listening to Pow Block and also just playing Nintendo games is that telling you about a little secret that's built into the basic Pro Controller. It might be in the regular, like the designed Pro Controllers as well, but it's easiest to see in the basic, just standard black Pro Controller because it's see-through. It has that like old school, like when the Game Boys, what was it called? That color, do you remember what that like color style was called where it was like
Oh, like the clear ones?
yeah,
Like the
yeah. So if you hold
Translucent?
down, yeah, the
Yeah.
atomic ones, yes, the atomic
Oh,
ones.
atomic.
have-
Wrist
yeah.
tray in the chat said atomic colors.
Yes, yeah. So if you hold down the right joystick and you take your like phone flashlight or just a regular flashlight and kind of hold it at an angle, what you'll see just above the right joystick is a little text that says thanks to all game fans. And
No way.
it's built directly into the motherboard. It's probably built out of the copper inside the board itself that they just took away the solder mask at that location to be able to spell that out. And there's a lot of companies that do this. A lot of music companies with circuit boards will have like little guitars built into their boards that like most people will never ever see. But it's such a cool little thing. And yeah, if you have just the basic black Pro controller, you can go look for it yourself. And again, because I'm doubting that they have changed up the board at all, it's probably in all the other ones as well, but because they're more filled in, it's going to be harder to see.
Oh, that's
Nice.
cool.
Yep. So that's our Game Fact Advance.
All right. There's a lot of Game Fact events, everybody. So if you missed one, you can find us on youtube.com. Check out a lot of our shows. We have a lot of Game Fact events out there, facts that you guys could check out when you watch that show. But now it's time for it, and I'm so ready for this week's Femi News. Yes, Dan, take it away.
All right. Okay, so we'll start off with this week's upcoming releases. Starting off, we got Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon is coming out today. Probably should be on the Switch now. I can't really tell what this game is. Are you guys familiar with Pocket Dungeon for Shovel Knight?
Yes.
I am
Seems
not
like a-
familiar with it.
Mobile-ish game? What is it, Ed?
So it's kind of like a little bit like Yoshi's Cookies, where you're matching three, but you're also like moving Shovel Knight across this board, trying to defeat enemies and stuff. So you're kind of just it has a little role playing game mechanics to it, but it's like a puzzle game for you to get through this dungeon that you're in. And the further you get, the more levels you go up and everything.
Cool.
I know Nintendo Life does have a review on it. So if anybody wants to check it out, you can read their review about it.
Real quick, can I say I'm so ready for Yacht Club Games to do something that isn't Shovel Knight. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Shovel Knight so very
I'm
much.
with you.
But like, I'm just ready for them to move on and have a new IP and give me a new game experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coconut.
Cool, so-
Coconut in the chat said they're so talented, so same. So yeah,
Yeah.
They need to do other stuff. They need to give us more cool games.
Right. But I mean, if they're cashing in on Shovel Knight, they're gonna keep
Yeah,
doing
fair.
it.
Like, I'm not mad at them, but like I'm ready for the next big
Yeah,
thing.
I think we're all ready.
I mean, they did publish Cyber Shadow, so
Yeah, but
which is
they published that though, which is the same. Like I get they had some influence
yes,
on it for sure, and that's a great game as well.
yes.
Yeah, I'm just
But
ready
for
to.
them, they need a new IP or something.
Yeah. Yeah, so that comes out today. That's $20. Wednesday we have Hashimi of Old Book Town Append. This is a love mystery visual novel, and this one actually has a demo that's out for it. So if you're into visual novels, this one is $55 and it's on sale. I don't know much about this one, but it seems like it's kind of popular. Thursday, one I'm looking really it's just the solo adventure. It's like a 3D puzzle platformer. It's an indie game, and I forget the name of the developer, but it looks super cool. And it's Studio Inky Fox, so I'm gonna get that. That one's on sale for $13.59. Another one for me is Crazy Zen Code Word that comes out on Friday. I'm a huge crossword puzzle fan, so this one's right up my alley.
Nice.
And then this one looks kind of silly and also a very, very rare Saturday release. Him and Her 3. It's this like hand-drawn cartoon puzzle platformer of two characters that just go through puzzles. And that one's for $10. So that's where we start with the games coming up this week. Are you guys interested in any of those?
I'll probably check out the ones that you're checking out, Dan, and the Him or Her. As for the visual novel one, $55. Ooh,
Yeah, doesn't that seem like a steep price for a visual novel?
yeah, very. I mean, I can understand if that's due to the fact that they had to localize it, but I'm like, this better be a collection game. Like there better be like 10 games in one or something.
There's a demo for it, so I might try the demo just to see why it's almost, at full price it's $62.
Oh, nah, forget that. I might as well just buy a game that I missed this year with that money.
Jacob, anything for you?
Yeah, real quick, I did want to say, just to apologize to anyone listening to the post show, OBS is doing this really cool thing where it's moving y'all's audio back and forth between two different channels, and I have to keep muting and unmuting because it'll bring both of y'all in at once at the same time with like double voices. So sorry if there's some weird technical stuff going on in the background, guys. I apologize for that. It's just being weird. But I'm not really interested in any of them, but I do kind of wonder if if that couples game is like hot on the heels of It Takes Two. Like if it came out because that developer was inspired by It Takes Two.
Doesn't look at all like It Takes Two.
Just the concept of it though, just like the couples having to solve problems to.
Oh, could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Limbo with really poorly drawn characters, and I think I really want to play it.
That's awesome.
All right, so let's get into some of the actual news. First one that's up is it's not actually a news story. It's something that that kind of happened on Twitter, and it's an interesting story to talk about. So Gary Wiltshire, who is a YouTuber, he has a YouTube channel that he plays Pokemon Go, Team Mystic player. I don't know what that means. He writes on his Twitter, "Hello, Niantic. How come my Lure module box costs 700 coins and my other halves is 450 coins? Please explain." Niantic's support responds with, "Thank you for writing in with your concern, Gary. As we test out our new features and ways to improve gameplay, some players may have slightly varied experiences. You can find out more information on our website. We appreciate your patience." And if you go to the website, it basically just says they can put the prices at whatever they want. So, this is unfortunately a common practice in mobile gaming, and you see it with airlines, and some even think that Amazon uses cohort pricing. But is this moral? Is it legal? Jacob, kick it off.
I haven't looked
Should
into
it be
whether or
legal,
not.
I should say.
Yeah, I haven't looked into whether or not it is actually legal or not. It should not.
It is legal.
It should not be legal. I am all for a company trying out different pricing options, right? If they want to, if they have a product and they want to go, you know what, maybe we could sell this for 900 coins instead of 700. And then so next week, everyone across the board now has to pay 900 for it. Great. Some people will buy it, some people won't. They can use that data to figure out what they can charge for it, right? That's fine. A business at the end of the day has to make money. It's a business. It's not our friend. I've said this with Nintendo a lot. Like, they are not our friends. They are a company. They are here to make money. Don't do it individually at the same time. Like, that's so, like, I really, really, really hope that the community of Pokemon Go players use this knowledge to their advantage, and anyone that didn't have it at the lowest price didn't buy it. Because it's that, like, I hate it so much. It's so infuriating. It's such a gross practice to do it that way. It's such a gross practice to say, because, like, the other part of it is we have no idea what they're using to determine that. We have no idea.
So we actually, okay,
we
you and
kinda?
I personally don't.
Okay.
But so basically what it is like airlines use dynamic pricing, right? So dynamic pricing is basically just basing the prices off different times when you look at it. Like, for example, like if Ariel and I are going to go on vacation and we're just testing prices, we actually will look at like the prices on her iPad and just like shop around that way, because then if we talk about it and go back, the prices are going to go up due to the dynamic pricing, because they see how much you want to pay for these flights.
So
Now,
real quick, I want to interrupt here because I actually do know about this, and you can delete your cookies in your web browser to get rid of that. It resets it back. It's based
right.
off of many things, but like that's the thing, is that we know what that's based off of. We don't know what this is based off of.
So mobile gaming in general has taken the platform of dynamic pricing and they turned it into cohort pricing, right? So instead of basing it off of individual people, they use it against cohorts, right? And they take a lot of people who have the same, I mean, there's so much of our data out there. So they take a bunch of people that have similar data, similar spending practices. For example, Niantic sees that you are a Nintendo player. You have 20 games downloaded on your Switch. So it sees that you spend the money, and then on your Pokemon Go that is linked to your Nintendo account, they see how much you have. This is just, baseline. And for example, like my fiance doesn't use it. So if she is not linked to anything, she'll go on there and there's no actual spending power. So they base the prices on the cohort. Like, it's just based on strictly data. And that's why it happens. And it works for these companies, right? Because a lot of people in their cohorts, unlike Gary, like they have pretty much like-minded players that are playing with them. Mm-hmm. So like that's the reason behind it, but it just
absolutely not. It like no, like I still totally disagree with it, because it number one, and this is what, like, I maybe I just don't have the business mind for it, right? Because again, I spend a lot of money with Nintendo, but the moment I found this out, I haven't even opened the app because I just hate the idea of it. That's not true, and I was explaining this in the pre-show. I opened it to find out what my pricing was. I've spent maybe $15 with Pokemon Go in my lifetime, not with Nintendo, which I understand that. If they're linked to my Nintendo account, they can see that. But the fact that my price was the high one means I immediately was like, nope, not going to buy it. I know it's available for cheaper. I'll wait.
But that price may never go down, right?
Then I'm never going to buy it. Like, then they just lost money. If it was $4.50, then great. Yeah, sure. Like, if they had said, hey, this thing was 700, now it's 450 for everyone, then I would have been like, yeah, okay, cool. I'll jump on it. 450, that's a pretty good discount. That's what a sale is. This is such a
Right.
weird practice, and I hate that it's probably effective.
It's very effective, and that's the thing, because like I said, there is so much data out there that like our computers know us better than we know ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary in that sense. So it works that way. And the reason it's legal too is because as a seller, you can set your prices at whatever prices you want. They don't have to be the same as long as you're not discriminating against a race, religion, sex, gender, anything like that. And in this case, it's not violating any of those, and that's how the cohort pricing like is able to like survive.
So I have a question before we continue to go on, because Jacob, you could probably answer this. When they say $700 coins, is that in when it comes to real world money? Is that $7?
No, it's not like a one-for-one thing, which is another really scummy thing. Nintendo used to do this too with their Wii music, their Wii point things.
Oh, I hated
Oh yeah, where it was like a game would be like a game.
Oh
would
no
be,
no 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 no
yeah.
no no. We was understandable. It was Xbox 360 that was the mess.
They were
'Cause
all,
they
they were
did-
all messes when they had like when they used a point system rather just a dollar system. No, yeah,
Yes.
that is a thing that mobile games have because it makes you spend money. If a thing is 700 points, but you can buy either the $2 point pack, which is 400, or the $10 point pack, which is 800, you're gonna have to buy the $10 one. Like it's
now can you earn coins without paying for them in these games?
You can, yes, and that's the thing. There's always like it's just going to take you a very long time, and it's actually reliant on other players as well. In
Okay.
Pokemon Go specifically.
So
Um,
with free to play games, this is nothing new. They will make you work, and even there's been some game because Ubisoft used to do this too. Like they will make you, if you or EA, the Battlefield one with the Star Wars Battlefront 2, when they were just like, if you want this character, you could pay this amount. But if you want to work for it, this is what you got to grind for. And you have to do almost months of grinding and replaying to get to that one free character. And people yelled about it that EA had to change it. And it's kind of doing a little bit with Halo Infinite with some people with the Battle Pass, that you got to work a lot to get this certain kind of currency or whatever to get what you want. So with free to play games, since they're not making no money off of initial purchase, they're gonna put this product out where if you want it, it's there for you to buy it. But it's not guaranteed if you need it or anything. If you just want it, you gotta pay this price, and you could go buy it, and that's it. You'll have some money left over in your account. And when you agree to a lot of these contracts and when you say I agree and this is my data and all of this to get the enjoyment of that game, you know what they're going to do. If anything is free to play, they're going to charge you an arm, leg, and a heart for it. So don't even act like any of this is brand new. They've been doing this for years for a lot of mobile games and even with some games that's on consoles. So yes, it is upsetting, but it's there as an option. If you need it, you're going to have to pay for it. Other than that, you're going to have to work for it. And by the time you actually get to by the time you probably get to that amount that you need, it's going to be worthless.
Yeah, and I think kind of just based off what you're saying, Ed, I don't fully see an issue with the cohort pricing in mobile gaming, in free to play, right? Because that's not money that you have to spend. That's optional money to spend. You don't have to spend that money to play the game.
Well, yeah, you
and
don't have to spend the money to do anything.
Exactly. So it's a medial option. Like, Mario Kart Tour, it does the same thing. You can buy rubies for X amount of price, and there's probably different pricing if like Ariel downloaded it versus me. But like I'm not spending that money on it. So I just I don't I I don't know.
It's
I don't yeah,
it's
go
a
ahead.
it's a different conversation for the three of us because we have like the not the wherewithal or
Hmm.
like the brain. That's a weird way of saying it, but like we are steadfast enough and we've done gaming long enough to be able to be like, nope, we're not going to participate in this. We'll just move
Right.
on to the next game. But and then but the one thing that I did want to kind of point out, which is weird to me, is that I don't think it should be legal if they're trying to say that they're not going to discriminate because there's a difference between equality and like having the ability equality and ability because like yes me and my next door neighbor both live in the same area if we both do the same amount of things um great but like I might be in a situation where I live in this same area. I'm part of this cohort, but I can spend $200 on a mobile game, and because he's a part of it too, he can't. Then he's just out of luck, and maybe he's super into it, and like that's why I think it's a problem is because they just because somebody might be in a group of in a cohort group that they have the equality to do so doesn't mean they have the ability to do so. I did want to shout out Restray real quick from the chat. Mentioned that you can use Google Rewards app to take surveys and get money to use in the Play Store. So if you are into it, there are apparently ways to like if you do a little bit of research, I'm sure there's ways to get around it and like not spend a dime. Um,
Right.
but
So just to counter what you're saying though, like the cohorts aren't like area based or anything like that. It's strictly data based on like what you spend, how much you've spent, and like basically what you've spent it on. So like your cohort could be like six different people that are across the world,
mm-hmm.
and then you'll be put in with this particular pricing. So it wouldn't be discrimination based off of assumption. It's just based off of data, and they can hide behind that shield that says we
See,
use this data to put them in the same
which
cohort.
which is why I don't like it and why I think it's scummy is because there's this idea that they would have to hide behind anything. If
Right.
they can't come out and tell me point blank, this is how we get this information, this is what it's based off of, and this is how we decide prices, then there's something scummy going on. There's some loophole
And
happening.
that's
That
why it's important to read those contracts before
yes,
you
no,
agree. I
absolutely, and you're
know
right. This wasn't a new thing at all. Like you
right.
are right about that.
So I will say it kind of sounds like for a lot of people they wish that the pricing was reasonable. So if it was 500 coins, let's just go with that. I think people will find it reasonable, and Niantic will make more money with that because now with this high pricing, to the players it sounds greedy. To them, this sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
And like you said, and like what you said, Dan, is based off of data.
Yep. Just based off of data. But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't yeah, I think whenever you're trying to make money based on fluctuating prices, it is never going to be morally correct, but it's definitely very legal and
No, yeah,
definitely stupid.
and I
So,
like that. I can't argue with the fact of whether or not it's legal. I can argue with whether or not it should be,
right.
but if it is, then they're allowed to do it. And the only way that we can fight back is to, like we've said with many times, vote with your wallet, not with your voice. That's the only way to get through to companies.
Yep.
Also, go play Pokemon Brilliant Diamond or Pearl or Sword of Shield. Call it a day.
Um, all right. Well, I think we all got that off our chest. Next one is a little bit more of a somber story. Masayuki Uemura, creator of the NES and SNES, has passed away. Um, he left behind just such a great legacy. I think we all started in that era of gaming. I personally never really knew his name. He also was a producer on several titles. One of my favorites is Ice Climber, Clue Clue Land, and the trilogy of sports titles, soccer, baseball, and golf, which I actually loved those games too. But people are coming out left and right that worked with him, saying what a wonderful guy he was and the legacy he left behind him. So rest in peace. Ed, what do you have to say?
Um, I think since he's the reason that a lot of people are video gamers because he created systems that they are going to play on, and all of these fantastic and phenomenal and classic iconic games have been running on. Definitely with the Super Nintendo, you know, you kind of still see like people mimic Nintendo, the NES, in different art and different design and stuff, and even on T-shirts and everything. And it kind of just shows you how a system that is built just plays in a culture, in popular culture, and he is the reason that we have these systems in popular culture, and the reason why we'll still search out a NES and we'll still, sometimes play our original game on them. With some retro collectors, they go and buy these systems, definitely with the Super Nintendo. So to see that he passed away, I was kind of just like taken aback because this it became new information for me with me. I didn't even know that he designed it. They never talk. You never know a creator and a designer of a console unless they speak about it. And back in the day, it was all about Miyamoto. It wasn't about any of the other designers. So to see him pass away, uh, I'm thankful that he did create these systems and left these memories for us as gamers and even non-gamers, just people in the culture around the world to create these memories and stuff. So it's really sad to see him go, but like definitely rest in peace, and just thank you for designing these two systems for us to play around the world and enjoy.
Jacob?
Yeah, I kind of went about this in maybe a similar way to you, Dan, in that I didn't know who this was at first. When I saw the article, I didn't realize the importance of it, and that got me thinking more about like all of the unsung heroes behind all of like the innovations of any genre of any category that just like don't get the recognition they deserve. And I do think that it's cool that in one way, in some way, like he will live on because the SNES and all that it accomplished will live on. And that's kind of cool to me. But it did get me thinking a lot about like just like the people, the non Masahiro Sakurai's and Reggie's and Miyamoto's and yeah, it just all of the people that put the effort into it that really don't get enough credit the credit that they deserve. So
Um, cool. Well, we'll move on to the next one. His legacy lives on, and I will certainly keep playing NES and SNES games for a long time. So, next up, we just got the Nintendo Switch is the best-selling video game console in November with more than 1 million units sold, and they have been the top-selling console in the U.S. for 35 out of 36 consecutive months, excluding September. Because as Jacob has pointed out, the OLED was coming out in October, so it took a little bit of a dip. So, I mean, they sold another over 1 million units. I mean, at this pace, they're gonna smash the record of the Nintendo Wii. That was like their main selling console. I keep thinking it's gonna slow down. I don't see how they keep this torrid pace going. Guys, what's it gonna take for Nintendo to slow down? Like, is it gonna keep going this way, and where does it end? Jacob, kick it off.
I don't think that it does slow down. Maybe a little bit with when these electronic shortages stop, but just to bring a little bit of like light into that situation, it's not going to stop in next year. It might not even stop until like 2024, 2025. There are parts that are being pushed out to those dates that are impossible to get. Yeah, so it's not going to stop anytime soon for difficulty to get systems, but I do I think that we have started focusing on this number as like a hardcore gamer aspect and haven't given the Switch its like recognition that it deserves as like a Wii level of casual player. I think a lot more casual players are picking up the Switch, and I think multi-children homes are picking up like several Switch Lites, you know. And I think if they continue to like just monitor that and drop prices or bundle when needed, I think they'll keep this up. I was very adamant when the Switch lost its ground in September that the only reason it did was because people were waiting for the OLED. So because no one would. No one's going to buy a system if they know the new system is coming out in 1 month.
Right. What do you think, Ed?
It's going to be on OLED. The way that Nintendo's going to continue to push the OLED, definitely with games like Bayonetta 3 and Zelda, Breath of the Wild, probably for some people who even got launch switches, they're going to go and upgrade to the OLED. So it's going to be a long time before it's slowed down. The only way that happens if Xbox and PlayStation become more available, if PC parts become more available, like you mentioned, with the shortages, Jacob, that's the only way that is going to like slow it down and everything. Right now it's not the games. The games are just the games have been hot. They've been consistent. They've been good to go. I think more people have been buying more games on Switch than any other console, and so or it's been piquing more interest that people are like, I'm going to pick up a Switch. We're still seeing people online in different social media areas taking pictures that they got an OLED, that they even got the original Switch, that they got the purple light, that they got the Pokemon. Maybe they find another store that just got some random Switch that no one paid attention about, and they snagged it up. I wrote in my I wrote a blog, like I said, for Boss Rush, where it's just like Nintendo will place something right in front of you, and if they grab your attention and you don't have no regrets and you end up buying it, you're contributing to the sales. So I think literally it's not going to stop. It's going to be a long time. Definitely with a banger year of games that's coming out next year. Yeah, they're going to continue to sell.
Yeah. I actually didn't think the OLED was going to be enough, but boy, was I wrong. And then if they just do another Switch iteration to the Switch Pro, or even if they do like some sort of even downgraded Switch that like only kids are gonna have, you know what I mean? Like there's so many ways they can do it. And it just seems like at this point they can pump out Switches and make them like the iPhone and just have little tweaks here and there and have it become big.
Maybe if they release more games on their Nintendo Switch online service, Dan.
Which they are. So Banjo-Kazooie is coming to Switch in January 2022. Everybody's favorite Smash character. Most wanted Smash character. He actually has a game, and that game came out in 1997, and it is coming to Switch next month. We don't have an exact date. It seems like there's probably going to be a game a month, which I'm happy with because I just finished Ocarina of Time, and I am very happy playing Paper Mario right now, and it's going to take me a little bit. Are you guys looking forward to Banjo?
Absolutely.
I am. I never got to fully beat all of Banjo. I played a little bit.
You played it though.
Yeah, I played it, but I didn't get to beat it. Because I didn't buy, I'm gonna be upfront with everybody. I didn't buy the game, but I have family members who had it, so I played it at their house. So this one I can't wait for it to hit Switch and play it. And which good that you mentioned Paper Mario, because I need to start Paper Mario on Switch. I never got to, like I said, never got to play the N64 version.
Nice. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I played it a little bit just like you had, but I never finished it because I had only played it at a friend's house. So my mom never bought it for me when I was a kid. So yeah, looking forward to that. I hope we get a date soon. And last news bit. I know it's been a hot news segment, but the Game Awards happened last Thursday, and Metroid Dread won the Best Action Adventure game. But that seems to be about really the only big award that they won, even though they had a few nominations. And Nintendo didn't really have any announcements or any presence at the show. Ed, did any Nintendo games get snubbed, and are we gonna see a Nintendo Direct soon because of the lack of world premieres?
Of course, Nintendo games got snubbed. The world ends with you, Monster Hunter, Rise, uh, Skyward Sword,
What
Garage.
did Skyward Sword get snubbed
How
for?
did Skyward Sword get snubbed?
Was it even nominated for anything?
No.
I wish it did get nominated. There were just like a lot of
Best
games that
remake.
came out. A lot of games that came out this year throughout the whole year have been on Nintendo, and it feels like with the Game Awards, it really felt like anything that the spring. I felt like the spring and summer got missed, and there was only maybe one or two games, and then everything else was really the fall. That everybody put. Now, this is the thing that everybody got to know. These nominations go out to game journalists around the world. Once they get to the five or six highest ones, they'll bring it back, and then that's when we get a chance to vote on it. Um, so that's kind of how the system works with that. And I think this year was kind of for a lot of people a very big disappointment because it was, in a sense, it felt joyless. It didn't feel fun. I understand they went back to being live, but with Nintendo not having no trailers there or participating in stuff, it really felt like very not mundane, but it felt uninteresting and people just didn't like it. Not even for the awards, like even the awards itself got treated kind of in a disrespectful manner, where it's just like, well, here go the best racing game, Forza 5. Now we have performance by Imagine Dragons, and it was just like you didn't even give time for the game to get its win or anything. So it kind of felt. I know everybody's just like, well, this is more of one and add thing, but like even some of the trailers, like the only trailer that I really got hyped about and was really my like dropped my jaw was the Hellblade 2 trailer. It looks beautiful. But then with nothing else coming from this show,
Was that the one that he was saying like he had teased a game that was in production for like 2.5 years or something? Was that it?
I think it was because it was the only because when they showed it off, it was 2019 that they showed it. Because that's when they announced the Series X, and then like for all that time, it was never going to. It never showed up in any else's presentation. Microsoft never allowed Ninja Theory to show it, and I guess the Game Awards was the only one that they were able to do it, to show it. But yeah, with Nintendo not being there, and I understand when Doug Bowser gave his Metroid Dread kind of thing, it was a very PR-ish, but that's Nintendo.
Mhm.
It really felt like It Takes Two shouldn't be in a family game because that's about two parents who goes through a divorce. You know
Yeah.
what family game is that?
If
And
if you can't hand the game off to your kids, say play this and then leave the room, that's not a family game.
right, and you're forced to play with another person in order to get through it. You cannot play that game single player or anything. It forces you to play it with another person. It winning game of the year really got me because I really think that all the other games that were on that list was well deserved. Even if Metroid Dread didn't win game of the year, Ratchet and Clank should have won. Deathloop should have won because it was probably one of the most surprising games of 2021. And with all the delays and people hating it and everything. Psychonauts 2, yeah, it should have won. It should have got some kind of award, or it should have won something, um, because it is a great game. And even Resident Evil Village, but It Takes Two, I kind of felt like they only gave it to him because he flew from wherever he came from and he was there in attendance. It's one of those kind of logic things. The people who are in attendance there will win the award. Anyone who is not in attendance there to win their game
I don't agree with that because I think especially for the Game of the Year awards, I think all
Mhm.
of them had somebody in attendance for it. I I I have not played It Takes Two, so I can't. I haven't played any of them except for Metroid Dread, so I can't really speak onto the quality of any of them. I'm not going to argue that it should or shouldn't have won Game of the Year. It should not have won Family Game at all. It shouldn't have even been on the list as Family Game. Um, I do think that the reason the show felt so lifeless is because, and I said this while I was watching it live several times, that like it was the same like 4 games for every category plus like a wild card. It was Deathloop, Psychonauts, It Takes Two, Ratchet and Clank, and then there would be
Resident
like
Evil
Resident
Village.
Evil Village. Like those, the last two would like switch up every from time to time, right? Unless it was just a wild category like racing, where none of them would fit for it. And then the other thing is that like all the trailers were very samey. There were a few that were interesting and different, like the one with the Fortnite, but it's brawling was weird. And then like
Yeah.
the new terror game with like the I think Slither heads. Like that thing was interesting, but like all the other ones were like, "Hey, here's this new survival horror game. Here's this new open world action shooter game," and there were like 30 of them. Um, it very much was it was it's an interesting showcase of the state of gaming right now, and I think we're getting back into that. If y'all remember back in the Xbox 360 and PS3 days,
Hmm.
every game was just like brown color palette. And I think we're getting back to that. I think they're falling, like all of these games were like dark, gritty, like just and
A lot, a lot of people feel like all of these trailers could have been shown at E3.
mm-hmm.
Like there was nothing about it. Like it kind of felt like to a lot of people there wasn't no indie support, like showing different new IPs. Like if you're gonna be at the Game Awards, yeah, you can have some follow ups, you can have some surprises, but people want new IPs. They want something that's going to feel fresh because if they look at it, not many people are going to remember about your trailer at all. We were talking when they showed off Ultimate Alliance 3, when they showed off Joker, when they even showed off Wild Hearts Cybernover, people were talking about that game for days after the show was done. Having no one talked about anything about the Game Awards besides being upset about how it was treated.
I so I can't I can't remember. I think it's Forspoken. It's that game with like the girl main character and she gets like pulled
Yes.
back into a fantasy land. That game is something that I'm excited about. I got excited for the
That game looks
GTF.
super
It
cool.
does. It looks so good. I'm glad that I have a PC to play it. I was excited about GTFO. The like concept seemed really neat, so a friend actually picked that one up for me so we could play together. But like that is very much a thing, Ed. Is that like I don't care about all of the rest of the games pretty much. Um, I've almost reached this point with the Game Awards where like I go into it not expecting anything at all of as far as game announcements go, and then like I don't get anything, and I'm just kind of like, whatever. To the point where I'm like, I wish it was just an award show, man. Like I wish it was like instead of this whole 3 hour long bunch of different stuff happening. I wish they just took an hour of our day and said, here's all the awards that game. Look at all these great games from last year. Have you played them all? No? Here's some you should buy. Like I wish they would get rid of the announcements so that people would stop getting hype over nothing and then being disappointed over nothing. Like
I think, yeah, I think cutting the show down by an hour should be good enough. Because I'm just like, yes, the esports and all of that stuff, you can have all of that ready for the pre-show and everything. But I kind of would just like it where we get maybe 10 or 12 categories. If we're going to get a musical performance, of course, we want to hear it from stuff that's from a game with some gameplay. You know, for the people who like made the music, like I would love to see if that would be able. Definitely, if you get some indie developers there, let them come in and play a track from their indie game, and while talking about it, just be you could advertise while they're playing music if you want to. Be like, you just heard a track from Grist 2. Game coming out on everything in 2020 in March. We just gave you guys a little preview on how the game will look and hear some of the music. Like do something like that and then move on if you want to move on. You know, I don't need anything Mountain Dew or Dorito Man or some tea-looking robot coming on to hand a announcement card. Like I don't need all of that. Just give me the awards, change up of all the games that came out. Don't just make it a lot of fall games or something that just dropped like 2 or 3 weeks before the voting is cut off and stuff. Because like I kind of feel like that's unfair, in a
Well,
sense.
and that's a big problem with any award thing is that like people have a tendency to not remember the experiences after enough time
Mhm.
has passed, so they forget how good a game was. And they don't unless you have somebody championing a game. You don't get somebody to come in and like make an argument for it that to be the case. I do think it's very funny. Something that happened, the Deathloop, when I don't remember what category it was, but when they won an award and they came on and they used, I know they were making a joke because their game is called Deathloop and I assume it has some sort of looping gameplay, but they made a
Mhm.
joke about how they only have like 90 seconds to do their speech, and then right after that they did like a 5-minute thing where like two celebrities came out on stage and told me nothing that I cared about at all. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Give the people who win the games, give the developers, give the whoever comes up to accept the award, give them time for a speech, let them say their piece, and then like have the celebrity come out and just be like, "Hey, here's this new game that y'all are excited about. Me too. Woo!" And then have the trailer roll. Like, don't. It's so dumb that they section time off in such a weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Ristray in the chat said if they did switch to focusing on more awards and ads and trailers, they should make AAA and indie categories because otherwise the indies have little chance against the big guys. So I'm assuming they mean like, best indie action game or best indie puzzle game, that kind of thing. And then they also said maybe limit how many categories a game can be in from the get-go so we don't get that kind of repeating process like you said, Jacob.
No, yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And if it became more of an awards based show, they could do that. They'd have the time to, because they wouldn't be wasting their time with trailers announcing stuff in a thing where they're not supposed to. I mean, in theory, an award show is not supposed to make announcements. It's supposed to award the stuff that's already happened.
Yeah,
So,
we all know that money rules everything,
oh
and
Of
yeah.
course.
they
Yeah.
pay for advertisements and everything, and then the money changes the show. I personally never really watched the Game Awards. I never really got excited during any of the announcements that's been on them, and I've never really cared to see who wins. So
Well, I
I
think
skip out on it every year.
I think the nominations itself was a lead into of this show being problematic.
Mhm.
Because there was a lot of stuff that was very divisive, and people just like, I know various people just like, why haven't this game been on there, or why haven't this game, like, why was Cyberpunk 2077 on there? Did it get on there because it sold a lot? Because that game was problematic from its release, and the full game still isn't. I mean, the game is out there, but the quality of it is not going to really be there until next year. But it was on for role playing game of the year, and it's just like, huh,
I
really?
remember
I'm
being
like,
pretty upset about that because there's a couple of games that like I really loved this year in the RPG category that didn't even get nominated, and seeing a broken game
Mhm.
get in ahead of like, Bravely Default 2 or Monster Hunter Stories 2, I was like, come on, man.
all right,
I
and
wish. Go ahead,
oh, go
Rich.
ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say, I think with It Takes Two, and this is gonna be my final piece with it, because a lot of people might, I have something, I have some, not ill will, but I have some problems with the person who made that game. I'm gonna leave it at that. But I feel like It Takes Two doesn't represent all the great titles that came out this year that people played and talked about. Because the first thing a lot of people were saying was, I've never played this game. I've never played this game. They mentioned all the other games they know about and they have played or tried out. It Takes Two, they never played. So how does it win this kind of award? And it may be because of the votes that people made for the game. But was that enough for a lot of people? Because when people saw it, I don't feel like a lot of us who voted for that game put the not effort, put it as their game of the year. Because the response was, I've never played it. Metroid Dread, people played. Why? How we know that? Because it sold 3 million. We seen speed runs of this game. People are still playing that game, trying to get it down to like 59 or 35 minutes. Like people are still playing Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
It Takes Two, for what I know, people played it maybe for 3 weeks and it fell away.
Yeah, I think I only know one person that played it. Take Two. Final thoughts, Jacob?
Yeah, the only thing that I have final thoughts on is that like it's really disheartening. So in on Nintendo winning best family game is kind of a meme because like who else is gonna win best family game? And there have been other years where like a decent family game has come out that's like in the running with the other four Nintendo games. But so for It Takes Two to be the one that wins and like breaks that meme streak is just really like, man, I don't agree with this at all. If I was running the show, I don't care how many votes got in for It Takes Two for that category, I would veto it. I'd be like, nope, doesn't matter. Like it's not a family game.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's tough too because like Mario Party Superstars isn't actually a new game. It's just a bunch of old games put into one game. And then you also have Mario 3D World, which again is a 2013 game. And what came out this year that was part of it is a single player. And then, you just have Chaotic WarioWare game, which is pretty niche in my opinion. So it's not totally blasphemous. I would have given it to Mario Party Superstars, but it's still kind of like, eh.
I would agree to a game that dealt with divorce.
Yeah, what sort of family
There's
game?
also that. But hey, I mean, it could have been just a weak year for 2021. So I guess, we can segue into doc mode with that one. Back to you, Ed.
Jacob, did you have something like last to say?
Nah, I'm good. Back to you, Ed.
Okay. Yeah. Well, everybody, we're going to get into doc mode. Since it's our last live show for 2021, I thought we should reflect on Nintendo themselves and talk about how, as a company, they did this year. Did they come out strong? What was a disappointing moment for them? We're going to dig into all of it. So, Elite Block Agents, let's go! And I actually have a list of the games that came out. So we got Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser Fury. We have new Pokemon Snap, Famicom Detective Club, The Missing Heir, and the girl who stands behind. We got Miitopia. We got Game Builder Garage, Mario Golf Super Rush, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, Pokemon Unite, WarioWare Get It Together, Metroid Dread, Mario Party Superstars, and Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. So we got about 13, 14 games that came out. What did you guys think? Was it a strong year for Nintendo? Dan?
I think, okay, so objectively, dollars show success in the industry. Subjectively, it was like my favorite year for Nintendo in a long time. I mean, being such a JRPG junkie, like I had Bravely Default 2 come out. I had East 9 come out. I had Monster Hunter Stories 2, which was amazing, come out, which also got me into Monster Hunter Rise, which came out this year. And then we have Shin Megami Tensei 5 that came out this year. I mean, I was just like loving this year. I thought it was going to be a down year coming off the pandemic year. 2020 was tough for developers and everybody. But I there was so many games out there that I just like loved. I loved Mario 3D All Star, or not 3D All Stars, Super Mario 3D World. I never got to play that game on Wii U, so super excited that I got to play that. Also very happy that I was able to play Skyward Sword again. Not my favorite Zelda game, not even in my top 10, but it still had fun, and I was glad I was able to play it again. And two games I didn't play, but I was glad to see WarioWare and Metroid get revived, and like loved seeing the hype around Metroid too. So, on top of all the big announcements that they had, the games are great as well.
All right. What about you, Jacob? Did Nintendo come out strong this year?
Um, I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
I'm gonna say that they had a very good year in terms of like refamiliarizing their franchises with
Mm-hmm.
new players, with people who didn't pick up a Wii U. And I think that they did the best that they could given the situation that the entire state of the world is in. I think though that it could have been a much bigger year, but to not even focus on that, I think that they showed this year specifically that they listen to their consumers, they listen to their customers, even though we're not seeing the benefits of that yet. I think that they made a lot of choices that people got mad about, but I think that they also made choices that we'll see play out in the future that will keep Nintendo on top for a lot of people.
Be more specific. Like, what do you think they did that pissed people off, and that like you think has longevity?
Yeah, well, so I personally think that the Nintendo Switch Online service, the Expansion Plus, is great. I think that they've made a very good decision with that. I think that people are sleeping on the family plan for that. And I think if they continue to go the route that I'm thinking they'll go, with adding some DLC to games behind that, with adding more systems behind that. I don't think it's just going to be the N64 before they charge us more for new stuff. I think
Mm-hmm.
that we will see that play out in a positive light. However, people were very upset with the price cost, but it's because we went into it with expectations, and we had no reason to go into it with expectations.
And I think a lot of people, to add on with that, didn't grasp the pricing system.
Mm-hmm.
$50 is the total, not $50 added on. So people thinking, oh, it's 50 some dollars. So they're thinking they're paying $70.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're paying the $50 plus the tax. Meaning that if you already own Nintendo Online, you're paying a lesser price, so it could equal up to the $50 because you already played part of it. So people didn't think of that it's a portion of that 50 that you have already paid. Now, if you're new to it, yes, are able to pay the $50 if you want to have the expansion pass. But people just thought, I think people just didn't get the math portion of it.
And another win that they had, and it's funny because so this is I have this theory that probably a lot of people have, that like nobody complains when things are going correctly, and but nobody points them out either. So when your nose is working, you don't wake up in the morning and think, man, it's so good that I can breathe out of my nose. But when you have a stuffy nose, it's all you can think about. Nintendo throughout the year has been very good about finding product. People were freaking out when the Zelda amiibo and Joy-Cons came out and nobody could find them. They sold out. And you walk into a store right now and you can find them. They're there. You can buy them. And I think that they have been working on, it's a slow rollout. We wish that they'd put out more, but I think they've been working on building up stock before making something available so that they can provide enough for everybody. The one thing that I have not been able to find is the N64 controller through the Nintendo Switch Online service, but they have made a public statement saying that there will be more coming in 2022. Like they've addressed it.
So it's more of a production.
Yeah, they've heard our cries throughout the past years saying that it's just so hard to find everything. Why is it always like this? And they've made it. If you just be patient, if you just wait, you will be able to find it.
Okay. Well, for me, I think they did come out strong this year. It's not their strongest year. I think they came out strong. I think their strongest year to me is their 2019. That was just a bunker of games that just dropped. But I think they did come correct. They did come strong because, we got Sora and Smash. We got an E3 presentation that we are still watching and looking like we actually got to see Breath of the Wild 2 in action. And of course, there's a whole bunch of memes and stuff, but we got to see that game in action. We got to see Bayonetta 3 in action. Metroid Dread, and when they said Metroid 5, everybody's like, ooh, what is this? And for a lot of people, it was just that one trailer that kind of run them E3 for Nintendo in a sense. We got some new Famicom Detective Club. Like, we got 2 remakes that never touched America, and then most of us Nintendo fans in America did not know about. So that's a new IP to us. Game Builder Garage, that's something for the summer.
Game Builder Garage.
It's so good. Like, it really got you to teach stuff. When 3D World came out for Mario, like I said, me and Dan and Jack played it, and we howled and laughed on all the craziness that came out. There was just so much good things that they got. Then they announced their esports thing with Smash and Splatoon. Nintendo stepping out to do that after definitely with Sony buying Evo and everything. Nintendo was just like, let's find a way that we could still be able to bring this out. And they're doing what Ultimate and Melee.
With Panda.
Yeah, like that's cool that Nintendo was doing this. Oh, go ahead, Jacob.
Well, I was gonna say, so that's another thing is that like they are making the strides to like catch up to everybody else. Yeah. Finally, it's been so long that they've just been so far behind every time. Where it's like, come on, Nintendo, everyone else is in 2021, catch up. And now they're like, hey, we're in 2019 now. And so they're just 2 years behind, and like maybe next year they'll just be 1 year behind, and
maybe 1 year they'll have rollback netcode.
Maybe 1 year they'll have rollback netcode, and then like I see them doing that because that sort of stuff is they're realizing as newer younger people get higher up into their corporate ladder, they are able to make their voices heard, and they are realizing that the generations have moved on and that they want a new focus for the company.
Yes, and then Nintendo Switch OLED. When people say, "Well, I'm not gonna buy it," they got it in their hand, and not only is it talk of the town, a lot of people were just like, "I can't go back to my old Switch because of how good the OLED is."
It's crazy. I can't go So I'm bringing my old Switch to travel with me for work, and it's like it is night and day. I didn't think there was going to be that much of a difference with the OLED. Because like I even play handheld at home all the time.
Yes.
So it's like I just couldn't believe what a difference it makes on the OLED.
Right. And I think they just that Bluetooth and Switch, the headphones that I got, I didn't know how of a game changer it was going to be. Because I didn't think about Bluetooth pairing with my Switch because I was playing it on my TV or I would just play it at work for a few minutes. So I wasn't thinking about having headphones in it or anything. Now that I got these wireless ones, it's a great way to play Switch. It's a great way to hear a lot of the sound design and music in the games. Yes, they are late about it. Once again, does anyone care about it? Not so much. So I really think that Nintendo did come out strong. Now, Now, there have been some faults. There has been some disappointments. And I think one of the disappointments has been like I kind of wish that we would get more. I mean, this is a common one, but I wish that we had more directs this year, and I really wish that we were able to see more indie games and third party games. Like I wish there was a direct really focus on big AAA third party games. Even if there was ports or something, I wish there was a direct coming straight to us for that. You know, give it to EA, not well, Activision, if you want to say, but give it to like 505 games, or Bandai Namco. Like mix it up where the big, well-known companies that we know about are away from Nintendo and indie games. Give us all their AAA stuff that they're going to bring to our system. And I wish Nintendo focused more on that because I think they would have got more recognition and more support for a lot of those games. What about you, Dan? What was kind of the disappointing thing for you for Nintendo?
Hmm. Um, I don't know. To be honest, like I didn't see any issues with the Nintendo Switch Online.
Hmm.
I think the software of that is at a bare minimum. Um, One thing that like I was a little disappointed in, and I hope it doesn't become a common theme, was Mario Golf. That game came out pretty bare. There was not a there was like 5 courses. It didn't have all of its, it didn't have all these like single player modes that it had, and it didn't even have like the ranked matches when it came out. It was a pretty bare bones game. And it took about 6 months for all of the updates to drop and make it a complete game. And I just don't want to see that kind of thing happen again. Like that. I personally just love the game of Mario Golf, so I'm continuing to play it. But like, I think that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and I just don't think it's a good way to roll out a game either. And if you do roll out a game like that, be transparent about what's going to come down the road. Give us a
Hmm.
roadmap, let us know, and just be honest, right? Because that could also help your sales, or it could help someone make their purchase later on.
I agree with that. I do think there's something to be said for the idea that like I don't think the updates made a difference. For like I don't think people saw the updates and were like, oh hey, I'm gonna go out and buy Mario Golf now. Um, so I see that maybe they did it because if I remember correctly, Mario Golf didn't come out around the same time as anything else, right? Like it was the big game for that month.
Hmm.
It came out in June. It came out like it came out a couple weeks before Skyward Sword.
Okay, so
Yeah, June
when
26th for Golf.
when was Skyward Sword?
Skyward Sword was July 15th.
Okay,
July 16th.
yeah, a couple of weeks. So I think that, and I don't like this. I agree with you, Dan, that I wish they would give a clear, precise roadmap so that people would know what they were getting into. But I think that they decided that, I'm guessing they decided that they weren't going to be able to drum up more sales by delaying the game and getting a full product out there. That it
Hmm.
was worth it to just put something out there so that people could play and then they just get it in. And I don't agree with that. I think that that's pretty lame. I think that they could be transparent about it. Maybe even say like, hey, the game's supposed to be $60, but we're going to charge $30, and then if you choose to buy these extra packs, it'll end up being $60 total or something. I don't know, but
Right, but just to counter one thing you said, where you said I don't think that people saw the update and then decided to buy Mario Golf.
mhm.
I, it was the opposite of, like, I'm thinking the opposite of it. It's like the people who had already bought it put it down, and the updates didn't bring them back.
Yeah.
So there was like a lot of times I was trying to find a match and I just couldn't find a match because nobody was playing it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, these updates are awesome, you guys. Like, look at these awesome courses. Come out and play. But like everybody had kind of just moved on because the base game was so bare bones.
That's true, and the only reason that I kind of disagree with that is that I wonder if the game came out with all of those, what the longevity of that game would have been if it came out at a later date. Like if people would have been playing it even at all months and months later or not. So and we don't know. We have no way of knowing for sure how it would actually roll out. Hopefully they try something different next time, and we can maybe use that as a point of data.
Yeah. In our chat, Coconut says, that's fair. I fell off Mario Golf way faster than I thought I would. And Aaron Domingos says, I literally played for 2 hours and then never again.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. Am I wrong in thinking that this year had less of the here's the game announcement and it comes out in a month or two? Like the first time we see the game. It happened with Metroid Dread. They announced Metroid Dread and then a few months later it was here. But I feel like that happened a lot more last year than this year, but maybe I'm wrong on that.
No, you're right. A lot of games that did get announced that were coming out, some of them have been announced last year, and there weren't a lot of like shadow drops from indies or anything. So I think Metroid Dread is the only one because that is the only game that no one knew about that's probably been in development. And something that Mercury Steam wasn't even talking about because they said they were working on their own IP. So no one just knew about it. It was just complete out of nowhere. So that game probably had been in development and then it just got a date. Most of the Smash Brothers stuff did get a date, but that was just to announce, direct for it to when they're going to be showing more of it off, and then it releases. Other than that, not much.
So
it really wasn't much.
I mean, was Pokemon Snap one of those? Like,
no. Pokemon Snap, I think, was announced almost a year before it came out. I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I might be wrong, but
I know we knew about Monster Hunter Rise for a long time.
Yes.
We knew about 3D World, 3D World like 6 months ahead of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That goes in hand with like my disappointment with them this year is that they've become very spoilerific on like what they're willing to show before a game comes out. I hit a point, Metroid Dread was so great for me because I hit a point where I just decided, nope, not watching or looking at or listening to any more information on this. I know I'm going to buy it already. So I'm just going to go radio silent on Metroid Dread and announcements from Nintendo. And I know a lot of people that didn't and got like totally spoiled on almost the entire game.
Well, it's very weird because they didn't really go hard on promotion for Metroid Dread until 2 weeks before the game came out, because that's the time that even we reported on or talked about it that Metroid Zero Mission and Fusion were making sales, and everybody was talking about going through it. But like they may have like announced maybe one new thing, but everything else no one knew about besides the intro. And that's when Nintendo showed it. Like no one knew what the full game was going to be about until it actually came out.
Well, I mean, like I know a lot of people knew that you fought Chozos, which was not announced like within the early part. Like there were like hints, but they never actually just straight up showed it. I know that I believe. It's okay to spoil stuff now, right? Like we're past the state of statute of limitations.
At least you could say spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, if you haven't played Metroid Dread and you don't know anything, I'm going to give you like 10 more seconds while I talk. You fight Kraid in Metroid Dread, which was super, super cool. And I feel like they showed that in a trailer. I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure after I fought it and freaked out about it, somebody in my chat was like, "Oh yeah, I knew about this already."
They did show it, but everybody didn't know that it was Craig because of how quick it was. Because even when I didn't know until I got to him, be like, "What the world is this?" And then I had to go back to look in the trailer, and be like, "Oh, they did show him," but everybody was just excited that the game got announced. Like there was no kind of breakdown to it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the one thing that I'm a bit disappointed about from them is that I really liked the here's an announcement, game's coming out in a few months type of thing.
Like when they did Paper Mario.
Yes,
that one was
great.
Hilarious.
And I love it because that carries, like the hype carries itself because people are finally for the first time figuring out about a game existing, and then it's
Age of Calamity too. Mm-hmm. That one was wild.
Yeah. So
too bad it ended up sucking.
No.
Dead.
I hated Age of Calamity.
Well, I hated Bowser's Fury, and I'm apparently one of the few people that did, if the only person.
And I love games, so I can't stop nobody. I love both games. Yeah. Well, a game and a mode, I should say.
I do want to just mention about this year too is like it was so cool to see the revival of certain franchises and games and stuff. Like seeing Pokemon Snap come out 20 years later was really cool. Metroid coming back 17 years later was really cool. WarioWare coming out, and then even the announcement of Advance Wars, like another game that we just haven't seen for years. Like super cool to see all that stuff.
It's super cool to see Square Enix supporting Nintendo hard. They've been supporting Nintendo like from when Squaresoft left Nintendo because of the cartridge stuff for Final Fantasy and being like on PlayStation and a little bit on Xbox, being so really big supporter of them. Going from 3DS until now, I'm like, there's like about 6 or some games releases and new stuff that Square Enix has done, and then we got cloud version of Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, yes, we are getting a cloud version of Kingdom Hearts, but it's surprising to see how Square. It's surprising to see how Square Enix is supporting them. So, any final words, you guys, while we wrap this up? So, well, I would say this. What grade would you give Nintendo? Dan, what is your grade for Nintendo?
I would give them a solid B this year.
Okay. Jacob.
I'd actually give them a B- this year. Again, I'm very happy with it, but like I found myself going back to my backlog a lot this year.
Okay. I would give them not A plus. I would give them a B plus this year. I think they had a strong E3. They had some great games for them as first party that came out. I'm excluding the third party indie games because I kind of just wanted to focus on Nintendo. Because if I added them, I think it probably would have been a straight A. Voice of Cards, everybody go play that. That's such a good grade. And go play My Son the Stories too. The animation in that story is really
and that game is beautiful on the OLED. Like I wish they waited to just release that on the OLED because it is beautiful on that thing.
Yes. So and then anything beautiful Jacob on OLED or that would have gave it an
A. Well, so like I have mixed feelings because if I include third party in it, I would probably give it an A, but I also want to give it like a worst grade because of my heartbreak that is Kingdom Hearts coming to Switch. And that is Square. Like I'm so glad that you championed Square Enix, Ed, because I have ripped into them a lot this year.
I just said I just said support.
No, yeah.
And I'll leave it at that.
Maybe not in a great way, but they definitely
I'm surprised
supported.
you gave him a B- too, Jacob, because it was a strong year for one of your favorite franchises, seeing Pokemon Snap come out, seeing a MOBA Pokemon come out,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl come out. Like, this is a strong Pokemon year.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And the fact that a Monster Hunter game came back and it
And
was like a new
and
one.
Monster
No,
Hunter.
it's just I have to look at the entire year and think about how long did those carry me through the entire year, because it's again, I went back to my backlog a lot. Like, I played a lot of Pokemon, but I played a lot of Pokemon Sword and Shield. I played a lot of Zelda, but Breath of the Wild after I finished Skyward Sword. I played a lot of Monster Hunter just because I played a lot of Monster Hunter. But like, it's hard
You played
for me
a lot of Monster
I
Hunter.
played a lot of Monster Hunter.
Yes.
It's hard for me to give Nintendo themselves an amazing grade for what Capcom is doing for them. That's my problem. Is that like,
Gotcha.
what did Nintendo do this year?
So I think a good silent B
Yeah.
overall from three of us was solid. So everybody, that has been our final doc mode. We're going to get into Play with Power. Jacob, your final Play with Power for 2021. Hit us up. What have you been playing?
Yeah, so shout out to Whitethorn Games, the publisher, and Alien
Yes!
Trap. I actually reached out to Whitethorn Games, and they provided me with a code for Witchwood. So I guess sponsored, not really. I wasn't paid for it other than receiving the code. If you count that in a way, I'm not sure how that works. But like, that game is so comfy, cozy, and adorable and wonderful. I highly recommend it if you like Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley, or just like maybe like Don't Starve, just any sort of like casual, want to chill out, relax, enjoy a good story type of game. It's got great characters. You play a grumpy old witch that's super sassy, and there's a goat who I assume represents like basically the devil. And you have a contract with him, and you have to go gather souls. I've been playing it over on my Twitch, and it's been very, very fun. It's like $20. It's not very expensive at all. So if you're looking for a new game to play that you want to relax for with the holidays, man, Witchwood, you could do a lot worse, because Witchwood is fantastic. And again, I did receive a code from them, so like I am biased, I guess. But I have got a couple complaints with it. There's like, you navigate your menu, you have like an item box menu, and you have to navigate it with the D-pad, and I wish that I could do that with the right and left bumper, because those don't do anything in the overworld. And it's kind of just a personal complaint, because it's a very slow-paced game, so there's no reason for like quick menu navigation, but I just have an itch to be able to navigate my menu quickly. And then other than Witchwood, I've been playing just a ton of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. I've been shiny hunting. I got our very first shiny that we got on Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl was Bidoof.
Yes.
The amazing Bidoof, Dan's favorite. Been playing more Pokemon Unite lately, and I've been playing Lego DC Supervillains. Have y'all played that?
I heard of it. I heard it's really good. I haven't picked it up yet.
I don't know a dang thing about DC Universe. I know the basics. I know who Joker is. I know who Batman is. I know who Superman is. This game is like GTA meets Legos.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. There's like, you have missions, story-based missions that you go through, but then like, while you're getting to that story-based mission, it's basically GTA. You can just kind of do whatever you want in the world around you. And there's a lot of little like side things to do. And it's very funny. The writing's very silly. I made you make yourself a supervillain. So I made myself a naked barbarian named Icy Hot Man, because I have a cold hand and a hot hand, and I wield double axes. And again, I had the ability to make myself basically considered naked as far as Legos go. All I have color-wise is like the part in between the legs and the chest. It's very strange and silly and goofy. Yeah, it's a cool one. It's a cool one. That got recommended me to play by a member of the Otter Kingdom community, AJ, and I've been enjoying it. And the music slaps. It has no reason to, but the music is amazing. It's so weird. It's very, very strange. I start up the menu sometimes just to listen to the menu song because it absolutely slaps. It's like a rock punk cover of something. I don't know what it is, but it's great. And it's a Lego game.
Nice. Kind of then final playing with power.
I finally finished Picross S3.
Yes.
Okay, so now I only have one Picross game left on the Switch to fully complete beginning to end, and that is Picross S5. So that'll be my venture for 2022. I have been really addicted to Tetris Effect, like so addicted to it. Like you were talking about the Bluetooth earlier, Ed. I've been putting my Bluetooth on with this game and just like zoning out to the music and like really doing these like marathon Tetris matches, and it's like, oh, it's perfect. I love this game. If you like any sort of Tetris, please pick up Tetris Effect. It is awesome.
Yeah.
And
it's still on my list to get, and I can't wait because I'm buying it on. I'm gonna be buying it on my OLED.
Ed, yeah, you gotta buy it. Like you're gonna love the music in it.
Is there an endless mode? Like it just go until you lose?
Yes,
okay,
there
good.
is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no, did you post a video of it? Like,
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I posted that on Twitter. That was like in the journey mode.
Yes.
So like the journey mode's really cool because it'll have like 4 levels and it has like different backgrounds and music of the levels. And basically what you have to do is you have to clear like 46 rows to advance to the next level. And obviously like the speed keeps going up. The music gets different. The lights like go different. It's really cool. So Tetris Effect, got to get it if you like Tetris. I think I say this every week, and I might actually be there this time. I think I'm at the end of Shin Megami Tensei. I'm like, I just wrapped up the 4th big exploration area. I'm level 78 right now.
Wow.
Yeah, I've gotten some demons that like, I've used some demons where I was like, oh man, I never thought I'd be fighting alongside these guys. So it's like it's getting to the end of it. Again, wonderful game. It is a little light on the story front, but the action and gameplay is there to keep you hooked. Gameplay loop's just amazing. And I think that's it for me.
All right. Well, for me, started up Spiritfarer. Beautiful game. I just seeing it, looking at it, I'm like, oh my goodness, why did I wait so long for this? It's an amazing game, really fun. Love the animation. Love the characters. There was this big thing of death, making your person the next Spiritfarer and everything. And I was just like, don't go, because I love your artwork. And I just love how they mixed the voice to be real deep and dark and stuff. And it was just so good and everything. And it was just like, oh, this is amazing. Shin Megami Tensei 5 grinding. Like literally grinding. I am going to beat that second boss. I'm going to put the work in and beat him.
Make sure you have fire users all the way.
Oh yes.
Jack-o'-lantern and force dampeners.
Yes. Let me write that down.
I'll text you.
Yes. Was playing Ruiner. Getting that game. It's like a isometric, like cyberpunk kind of dystopia, arcadey shoot 'em up game. It's really nice. Really cool. Brilliant Diamond and Streets of Rage 4. Been playing. Making progress in that. Death's Door, man. I was thinking of what is my ultimate game of the year list, and I'm it's a struggle right now. I just been hit with so many good games to make a 10 game list. like five top, my top five, and then five honorable mentions, I may have to jump into about 20 games. And because like Death's Door is like right now number 6, and I kind of want to move it up to part of my top five. It's so good, and it's just like the music is great and everything. So I'm definitely am enjoying that.
So what is Death's Door like? Is it like what kind of game is it? I haven't looked into it at all.
So it's an action adventure style game. It has it's kind of almost like a Link to the Past in a sense. It has this dungeon kind of exploration, and you get different special items. You collect these kind of souls that you could go back to your hub and increase your attack, your speed, your dodge, and stuff. The goal is to, you're trying to capture these souls that got away. And so you're kind of playing as Death. But the thing about it is just like you're this small little bird, and you're going against these big enemies, these big monsters. And so you kind of gotta be strategic not to get hit, but attack them until they all die and stuff. So it's a kind of a basic adventure game. I don't want to say it's Zelda-ish because there are not really dungeons in the game. There's just like different areas you go to, and everything like that. And sometimes you collect special powers to help you in battle and everything. So it's a really nice, very comedic at times, but it's a nice indie game. So it's more of an action adventure game.
Cool. I want to check it out.
Yes. So that is going to be it for Playing with Power. And that's going to be it for Nintendo Pow Block, everybody, our live show. I want to thank you, Dan. I want to thank you, Jacob. Also want to thank Corey, David, Lulu, Jack, LaRon, Stephanie, Grayson Morales, who has guys, go to Game Rant and check out his preview of Forspoken. Forsaken or Forspoken?
Forspoken.
It was Forspoken.
It's
Forspoken. Why did I say Forsaken? I'm sorry, Grayson. You guys can read his preview and his interview that he did. It's really worth the read, everybody. So shout out to Grayson Morales for that. The guys go show him love at gamesrant.com. With that, everybody, have a great week. Have a great weekend. Have a great Christmas or Kwanzaa if you celebrate it. Hopefully, everybody had a great Hanukkah. And that's going to be it for Nintendo Pow Block Live Show. Any last words, Dan, Jacob, before we head out?
It's not the last live show ever. It's the last live show until next year.
We'll see y'all in 2022.
I keep doing it. I'm so sorry.
So just to clear that up, if you've made it this far in the podcast, it's been a great year. I am looking forward to 2022. We're going to have so many great games, so much to talk about. And I hope to see a lot more new guests on the show as well.
Yes. Jacob, any final words?
No, yeah, I'm excited for 2022 as well. The one thing that Nintendo did show up with at the Game Awards was that like coming in 2022 section, which had everything they'd announced so far. So if that stays true, 2022 is going to be absolutely amazing. We'll see how that works.
Yes.
But yeah, it's going to be cool.
And we will be there to cover it, to give it some good googly mooglies and more. So everybody, we will see you in 2022 for our live Game Awards show. And with that, everybody, we'll see you next time on Nintendo Pow Block. Woohoo!
Bye-bye, everybody.
Goodbye.